So what they're doing now is trying to adapt the players to the system that they want to play when clearly they're not comfortable in it. And we talked about going back to a 4-4-2. We use the example of Millwall. Since Neil Harris came back, they've played 4 games. He switched them immediately to 4-4-2 and they've got 10 points out of 12. So welcome back to Small Heath Alliance FC. And at the time of recording this video, unfortunately, we've just come off the back of a defeat to Millwall, one of our rivals near the bottom of the Championship. So it really was a 6-pointer game that we lost. I've noticed as well through social media that a lot of the Blues supporters are starting to get very frustrated and worried and anxious, and some of them have suggested that we should look at the possibility of an interim manager for the rest of the season. And that's what we're discussing in this video, whether that would be a good idea or not. Now, I'm going to pass that over to Matthew and go straight and ask you the question. So what's your thoughts on that, Matt? Do you think we should look at an interim manager for the rest of the season, or do we carry on with Mark Venus in charge?
So as you alluded to there, Dad, we just lost 1-0 to Millwall yesterday at the day of recording. So me and you had a 3 or 4 hour journey back on the coach yesterday, and nothing like the mood was low, the lights were off on the coach. I had nothing to do really but scroll a bit of social media. And you're right, there was a couple of Blues fans on there saying that we need an interim manager. It's not quite working under Mark Venus, and there has definitely been questions about tactics and substitutions and timings and certain decisions there. But I would ask the bigger question, how disruptive would an interim manager actually be? If you think about it logically, that means another manager bringing his own staff in. That's another philosophy on football. I don't know whether the players, if I'm just being brutally honest, have the capability to really take another person on and learn their strategies, learn their tactics. But, we've seen it. We've had 3 managers this year. We've already had enough disruption and enough turnover. Yeah. I think with 10 games left, it's too big a gamble. I think Mark Venus, fair enough, some of his decisions are underwhelming and his sort of demeanour in press conferences is a little bit flat and underwhelming, I guess. However, this guy has worked with Tony Mowbray for the best part of 23 years, I think I read on social media earlier. That's a long time. Mark Venus knows Tony Mowbray. He knows his tactics. He knows what he wants to do. He knows his style of play. And for me personally, if I'm just going to be asked outright, interim manager or no, I think no. I think we stick with Mark Venus. I think we get behind him. We get behind the boys. But I said, I appreciate the concern from the Blues fans thinking that we would need a change because something isn't working. And those players need a kick up the bum. They need to find the passion from somewhere. And I think Blues fans sometimes look at Mark Venus and they go, as I say, got a little bit of an underwhelming character. Maybe that fire isn't coming from him. But in the context of interim manager, me personally, I would say that we stick with Mark Venus.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll make it absolutely abundantly clear. I think it would be a massively bad idea to try and get another manager in place of Mark Venus for the rest of the season for loads of different reasons. I do get, the frustration of the Blues fan base. We're actually seeing the season whittle away. The games are going. We're not really picking up that many points, and we seem to be moving precariously more lower and lower in the table. At the time of recording, we're 4th bottom. We could have gone to the bottom 3 today if Huddersfield had picked up a draw, but thankfully that didn't happen. But Mark Venus is, as you mentioned, he's the guy that he knows the Tony Mowbray blueprint. We know that he's in consultation with Tony Mowbray, and I also think we can't diminish the fact that Tony Mowbray is not very well. He's ill, and I think it's a little disrespectful. Actually, I get why Blues fans are sort of panicking a little bit at the moment. It's a knee-jerk reaction to what's currently going on, but it is a little bit disrespectful to Tony Mowbray because it is Tony Mowbray's team. This is Birmingham City manager is Tony Mowbray. Mark Venus, as you mentioned, has been his number 2 for 20 plus years. So it's not like a stranger coming in. So I think that we stick with Mark Venus. We don't even entertain the possibility of an interim manager because, as you mentioned, all that's going to do is bring in another personality with a new set of ideas onto players that have already had John Eustace, Wayne Rooney. For one game, Steve Spooner as the coach, and now Tony Mowbray, and then Mark Venus. I mean, even though Tony would have instigated through Mark Venus what he wants for the team, we are still going to be playing in the Tony Mowbray style under Mark Venus. Mm-hmm. So I think we've just got to be really cautious about panicking to a point where we end up making the atmosphere around the club toxic again, where people are starting to get on the back of Mark Venus. It's not going to help anybody now.
Mm-hmm.
We as fans have to get behind him, and I think he should stay.
Yeah, I think so, and I think I think Blues at times has been a bit of a circus this year. Just being being brutally honest, when Knighthead came in, that was big news. When Eustace was sacked, that was big news. He was replaced by Rooney, that was big news. Rooney got sacked, big news. I feel like we've been under the headlines or in the headlines for all the wrong reasons this year. And I feel like another manager, and it just adds to the drama, adds to the circus, adds to the spectacle in a not positive way. It's going to put us under the spotlight again for more change. And I think it's a valid point to say, a new manager brings new coaching staff, new strategies, it brings a whole new energy to the club. And would the players even adapt to that? As I say, I'm same as you. I appreciate the concern that the Blues fans have, because if you look at our club, we're only 1 point out of the relegation zone. We've just lost off the back of Millwall, and we're not just losing games and drawing games. We're looking very underwhelming in games. We're not in games at all. We're not even at the races at the moment. So it is worrying. I totally get it, but I think we should actually look at a change in tactics, a change in strategy, as opposed to changing manager.
Yeah.
And we alluded to this if you've watched the Millwall post video that we posted yesterday. Me and you spoke about possibly moving our team to a 4-4-2 formation, and I think looking at changes like this will help as opposed to a change in manager. Let's change the formation. However, we can bounce off each other in a little bit about this, but we need to get these players fired up somehow. And as I say, I don't think an interim manager is the way to do that, but we do need a change at this club in the next before the season, in terms of strategy, in terms of motivation, in terms of getting the players firing up for games.
I think you're right. I think a key point to mention here as well is that the players that are in this squad, apart from 3 January loan players, are all players that were here at the beginning of the season before Tony Mowbray and Mark Venus took over, and before Wayne Rooney took over. So these are sort of the John Eustace team, really, because we've been restricted by FFP, so therefore we couldn't do too much in January. Knighthead told us this. So therefore, Mark Venus is now coaching players that were here at the beginning of the season. So basically, Tony Mowbray and Mark Venus have not had the opportunity to bring in the type of players that they want to play their system. So what they're doing now is trying to adapt the players to the system that they want to play, when clearly they're not comfortable in it. And we talked about going back to a 4-4-2. We use the example of Millwall. Since Neil Harris came back, they've played 4 games. He switched them immediately to 4-4-2, and they've got 10 points out of 12. Because with a 4-4-2, the players have the security of 2 banks of 4. And then you put another striker alongside Stansfield, he'll score a lot more goals. He's a little bit isolated at times. And also 100%. We know that Stansfield as well, he's a great goal scorer when he's on a through ball, but he's not great getting the ball to his feet and having to turn and go past players in a standing position, which is a lot of what happens. So I think tactically we need to do something with the players that we got. And I think hopefully Mark Venus will recognise that actually forget the fact that, I need to play expansive football. Where we are right now is in a position where we need points, not pretty football.
Yeah, I completely agree.
That's what we need. Yeah. And the only way we're going to do that, I believe, is to change the formation. If you persist with this, you do risk the possibility that you'll never get the mix of players quite correct. And we're going to have, unfortunately, performances like we've been seeing recently, which can't happen because we're running out of games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't look like scoring. I know we had 16 shots against Millwall, only 1 on target. But me and you were at that game. We didn't look like a threat going forward, did we?
No.
We need something to move us forward. And I think having Stansfield to play off someone in that, having 2 up front, will make a massive difference. Whether it's Yuki, whether it's one of the attacking mids that take that position and maybe do a false 9, dropping in back and forth. I'm not too sure how that would look, but I think that would serve as well. And by the way, for the record, I love Tony Mowbray. I think he's a great manager. I think when he came in, it was a poo show. It was the circus after Rooney left. And he really did calm the storm, so to speak, for a little bit. And he said he likes to play out. Mowbray likes to play out from the back. He likes to play controlled possession football, but he doesn't like to do it at risk. So we had Rooney come in, high line, high press, all out gung ho, and then Mowbray's came in and gone. He's applied the same principles as what Rooney wanted to do, but he's applied it in a lot more of a structured and much better playing style of football. And I think we need to stick to those principles, but in a safer way. And I think 4-4-2 is the safer option for us to get us to survive this year. And we've seen it at Millwall. We've seen it at Coventry. Just before Christmas, Coventry changed back to a 4-4-2, and it solved all their defensive problems. And they were way more balanced moving forward as well. So for me, I think Tony Mowbray's philosophy of football works. I think we've seen it up until Unfortunately, when he got poorly, and as we always say, we wish him nothing but the best in this recovery.
Of course, yeah.
But I think we need to stick with Mark Venus. We need to stick with the boys and get behind them. And I think we can help. I think the owners can help. Let's drop ticket prices at St Andrews for a bit. Let's get the stadium rocking. We can get behind the boys. Look at the game against Sunderland. We made a massive difference. Laird came out after the game and said, we felt the energy at St Andrews pick us up and carry us through that game. So there's certain things that we can do as fans to help as well. Fair enough. It's down to the players that in that 90-plus minutes on the pitch, they need to perform, they need to have the passion, and they need to have the drive. But there's other external factors that can help in that process as well. And I think bringing the circus back to town isn't one of them, and that would be bringing an interim manager.
Yeah, I agree. And also as well, another big contributing factor to our position as well is that now that we've kept 2 clean sheets in the last 15 games. So therefore, if you're not keeping clean sheets, it means that to win a game, you're going to have to score at least 2 goals. That's if the other opposition score 1. So that needs to be tightened up as well. And I think if we did play a 4-4-2, it would give us much more security at the back. And then, like Millwall did against us, they were never an expansive team. They didn't get much of the ball in terms of, they got about half and half, actually, percentage-wise with the ball on the stats. But they didn't have many goal threats. But they were ready at the time they needed to with that one chance that they got, and they scored, unfortunately. So I think if we play 4-4-2, it would help us to get clean sheets. And if you keep a clean sheet, you've automatically got a point, at the very least, if you keep a clean sheet. And that was where I believe that Mark Venus needs to look at the team and actually work out a way in which we can actually stop conceding stupid goals.
Yeah, I know.
And they are needless goals as well. I mean, I could think of many examples during the season. I mean, you could look at virtually any game and think, it was a stupid goal. But two clean sheets in 15 games is not good enough. And that partly, you could say, is a result of the way and the system that we're playing at the moment. Yeah, by all means, play expansive football, press the reset button in the summer, get the players in to play that system. That's different.
Yeah.
But at the moment, these are still players that were there at the beginning of the season, used to playing a certain way under John Eustace for the 18 months that he was there. And the results that we've got, unfortunately, are where we are now. But we're in a position now with 10 games to go where something has to change, because we can't keep doing what we did against Millwall. We'll get relegated.
If we continue that momentum, we're not being in games, no attacking threat, can't string passes together, defensive errors, we will get relegated. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're there yet. I think this ship will steady. But come on, Dad. I mean, I know you're not for interim managers. I'm not for an interim manager either. But sometimes you have to look at the decision making on the sidelines and question what's going on. Like Ipswich, Paik and Dazal coming off at the same time, right when we needed them on the pitch. Up against Millwall just the weekend, subs in the 70-odd minute where they didn't have time to make much impact. And by the way, again, I'm not being a hypocrite. I'm supporting Mark Venus. I'm supporting the boys. I'm just making a point to say that there are some odd decisions from the touchline sometimes. And even as fans, we're looking around going, why has he done that? Or what's happening? And I would love to see Paik and Dazal actually start and finish a game together, because they both seem to be getting pulled off, don't they, in and around the 60th, 70th minute mark, which is odd.
Yeah.
And I would love to see a change of formation as well, make us a little bit harder to break down, make us a little bit more stable. And hopefully with Stansfield having a striking partner, we might have a bit more of an attacking threat as well.
Yeah, I think so. And, I think both of us are in agreement that, that I think it wouldn't be in the best interest of the club to get an interim manager. I think Mark Venus, we need to get behind him and the club and really sort of do what we can these last 10 games as fans to push us over that line to keep us up.
All I would say is that I appreciate where Blues fans' heads are at in the context of where we are. We've just lost to Millwall. That's now put them up to, I think, sort of 16th, 17th. Yeah. We're now 1 point out of the relegation zone. It's natural for Blues fans to press the panic button and sort of, spread these things on social. But I think as a club, as a team, we need to stay together. For me, I think we're in joint agreement here. No to an interim manager. However, there's external things we can do to help, and I think something like a formation change, maybe a change in and around the team will make a massive difference to us, hopefully, in this relegation battle. Let's just call it what it is. We are in it now.
Yeah.
and we need to push ourselves out of it. I mean, there's 10 games left for Blues. We have that one game in hand with the Borough on Tuesday. You know, if we win against Borough and Watford, I know it's a big if. If we win those two games, that changes the picture completely.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so tight down there.
Yeah.
We just need to get a couple of wins under our belt.
Yeah, I just want to feel good on a weekend.
I know.
Because I know we feel it, Blues fans. You know, we know you feel we're there with you. You know, we're Blues fans ourselves, and it really gets to you, particularly when you start looking at the league table, look at the results of other games. It's tough, and I think over the years as well, we've been used to being let down. So I think this is part and parcel of our recent history, you know. But I think where we are now, we know that we've got good owners now. Okay, they clearly made the mistake when they appointed Rooney, and there's going to be a lot of accountability or you know, autopsy, let's say, at the end of the season if the worst happens, which we don't think it will. But we need to now start to get behind the team for the last 10 games, and we need to get behind Mark Venus. Be great to know your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below what you think about where we are at the moment, what your expectations are for the rest of this season, and add a comment below and let us know. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, don't forget to press the subscribe button so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Matt will see you on the next video.